You want to know something crazy about how I found out about your band? By the way,
Yes, tell me.
because I didn't tell you off air. Like I just started recording, so I gotta like be authentic.
Yeah.
Um, there was this is a promotion company on Twitter, and it's called Aesthetic Heart Promo, and they posted Away From Me featuring Kellen Quinn, and I was like, cool, Kellen Quinn, I want to check this out. I love checking out new music. Like it's just an addiction that I have. So I listened to them like, wow, this is really good. And I think like halfway through the song, I was like, I kind of feel bad for the vocalist though, because it kind of sounds like the dude from Micah Relocate. And then I started going through the fucking like members. I was like, oh my god, it is Michael. Like,
That's
no
incredible.
way. I was like, I feel bad for this dude because like everybody's gonna put his name to his voice. So I was like, oh, thank God. Okay, so we can fucking not worry about that anymore. But I'm stoked for you. This band is awesome, dude. I love the music.
Thank you. I appreciate that a lot.
Absolutely love it. So what happened, dude? Like, how'd you find these guys? Like, what's going on? Like, is everybody from the area where you found them? Like, let's get into it.
Yeah. So the guy, I'm from Austin, Texas. I was born and raised in Houston, but I moved here a couple years ago. The Foxera guys are actually in Phoenix, Arizona.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. So I'm like kind of traveling. Like, I've only actually hung out with them like 3 or 4 times. Just like, I mean, the pandemic made it really hard. We have pretty much like, I got together with them when I tried out for the band, and then when we recorded Picture Perfect like a couple months later, and then the pandemic hit. So it's like been like, I've seen them like literally 3 or 4 times in the past 2 years, which is insane.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, so I literally was like it was my birthday, I think my 28th birthday. I was just thinking about like, I don't know, I just missed being in a band. I was just like thinking, I had a conversation with my dad a couple days prior to that. He was asking me like, are you ever gonna like do, like, are you gonna sing for a band again? Like, is that something you could see yourself doing? And I told him like, you know, if the right thing comes along, I'd be open to it, but I haven't really found that yet. And like literally a week later, I just threw a tweet out on the internet, and I was just basically saying like, I missed singing for a band. And it kind of like, you know, for my profile, like I'd been really quiet for a long time, so I haven't really been on Twitter or anything like that. But that tweet actually like did pretty well, and like a bunch of my friends retweeted it, and it kind of got spread around. And people were very supportive, which was really cool. And one mutual friend between me and my now guitarist Julian was the reason why he saw like me like that tweet. And he decided, I'm just gonna shoot this guy a cold email. I don't even know if he like ever listened to my band or anything like that.
Oh wow.
He literally just sent me an email because they've been trying to find a singer for forever, and he was like, hey, like, you know, introducing himself, introducing the band, and he was like, do you want to hear more? Like, I'd love to send you a couple songs. And he was basically just saying it's like a melodic, but kind of technical, still easy to listen to, like, you know, band. And I was like really intrigued by that, so I was like, cool, send me this stuff. And I like listened to a couple of instrumentals, and the song that they had out with Tillian, which I'd actually seen on AP like a couple years before this. And I was like, there's just something about it that like really struck a chord with me. And I was like, this is something that's really special. And like, I just kind of knew, like in that moment, I was like, this is something I really want to look into. And yeah, I mean, it's history from there. Like a couple weeks later, or it was a couple months later, I actually flew out and like did the audition, and they decided that I was going to be like the permanent frontman. And yeah, we started writing music, and it's been crazy.
So how many seconds did it take for them to be like, okay, you're in? 5 or
honestly,
10?
I was
like, come on.
Dude, it was a whole thing, man. Tillian made my job really hard, dude.
For sure. Yeah.
He made my job
got
really
a good
hard.
range. Yeah. Absolutely.
Ooh,
Yeah, Memories was a good song. I never listened to that song until I came across the band recently, so I didn't even know this was a thing.
It's crazy. Yeah. So I flew out. I was there for like, or actually, I actually wrote a demo for them before I flew out. They really wanted to find somebody that could write, um, and like carry weight within like writing vocals or whatever and contribute.
For
So
sure.
I threw them a demo and they loved it and they ended up flying me out and I was like there pretty much writing. I just dropped my phone. Pretty much writing with the guys for a couple of days. We started working on like a way for me and like all the stuff actually on that trip. And then the day before I left, we hopped in a room and like jammed and I got to sing for them. And I was stressed out, man. I was putting so much pressure on myself because I was like, man, this is it. Like, this is what I want to do. Like, I want to be in this band so bad and I want to get back out there. And, yeah, it was funny, man. I hadn't sang in a long time and I was like singing through memories and I was like, man, this song is really hard, super hard. And, yeah, I just like sang through that and like a bunch of just random covers. Like I was just literally in a room just singing in front of them and like, I left the practice space and Julian was like, I think that went really well. And then we went to a coffee shop after that and they all kind of like sat me down. They were like, yeah, we want to do this. And I was like, let's go. So that's kind of how that happened.
I don't blame you for being super nervous because, like, how long has
Yeah.
it been since Micah? Like a couple years, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I hadn't played a show until like
Jesus.
literally last week, like was the first time I played or like a couple days ago, truly
I can't
was
wait
the
to get into
first
that
time.
conversation.
Yeah. That was the first time I played a live show since like with a band since 2017.
Wow.
So it's been a long time, and yeah, it definitely was a nerve-wracking thing, but it all paid off, and I'm happy that they decided to go with me as like the permanent dude, you know?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, well, first of all, like Micah was definitely a huge staple to like the metalcore scene, like way back in the day. According and as well as like post-hardcore stuff, because you had There I Breathe, and you also had like Life on Repeat, and like those are
Oh
just a
yeah.
few examples of bands that like had those really powerful albums, and then like just didn't have like a longevity for the band in itself, which is okay. It
Hmm.
happens, and then you usually see when members go elsewhere and such. Um, but no, that's super awesome that you were able to get to that relationship and build that with them like fairly quickly because, dude, I mean, like you just played on Silent Night. That was a huge fucking festival out in Texas. I just had well, I'm friends with Magnolia Park, and I just had Shaney from House Parties on as well, and it was a pretty sick lineup. Like, how was that though? How was the whole
It was
first show
awesome.
back in years, dude? You must have felt so good. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, it was crazy. We actually played two shows before on Silent Night that we announced like
Okay.
real like we were just like we booked on Silent Night and then we were like, man, it'd be really cool, especially because the guys are from Phoenix, like to just get a couple more shows and like even have something else be like the first show before on Silent Night. Because I feel like if on Silent Night was the first show, it would have been like the most stressful experience ever, just being a festival and stuff. Um,
Smart. Yeah, dude,
yeah,
that would
so
stress me out big time.
it was crazy. So we booked a show in Austin with Emo Night. And we did Austin and Houston. And Magnolia Park was on both shows. So I got to know those guys and that was great. They're such a good band, dude, and they're so great live.
Oh my
Um,
god, incredible people.
they're
Like,
so good. Yeah. It was really cool to meet them. Um but yeah, it felt crazy. The first show definitely had first show vibes. You know what I mean? Like it
yeah.
was definitely like you walk up on stage and you're like, man, I'm really doing this right now. But it went well. The next night went well, and Unsilent Night was definitely the best out of the three for us as far as like playing. Like we were all like kind of in that, comfortable. Like yeah, let's just do it. Like I wasn't really anxious to play that show at all, which is great. And yeah, man, it just felt right.
Felt
Like it's
normal.
so cool. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
awesome. It makes me look forward to like next year and the possibility of like picking up tours or like whatever. Like I'm just excited to be back in it.
Yeah, well, the professionalism is there, and like I do say this rarely, often. There's only like a handful of like vocalists, Tyler. It's like, like for example, Johnny Craig, Claudio Sanchez, Anthony Green, Craig Owens, and let's say Tillian. Like
Mhm.
those are, and Donnie from Hail the Sun. I could keep going on, but like these are very specific vocalists where it's like you hear that voice and it's like that's them. Like it's you don't really hear it anywhere else. Sometimes you can like Donnie gets like compared to Claudio and Anthony Green a little bit, but like Donnie's still his own person with vocally, just like you, dude. I think that was like one of the main prominent parts to your groups that you've been involved with, whether it was before, after Micah, like in general, like you just stick out, dude. Like I think
Yeah.
it's just something that um it was easily noticeable, obviously on my end when I heard this song. I was like, so I feel bad for the guy who fucking sounds just like Michael. Like, what the fuck? Like, I don't know
Yeah.
how that's gonna happen. But what was the main concern for you getting back into a band? Because like, was it like one of those shaky things where it's like, I don't want the same thing to happen that happened to Micah? Like, did you have any concerns when you were reaching out in general to get into another band of some sorts?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really think of that too much. For me, it was just like, how do I follow this up?
Mm,
Because like I mean, I'm so proud of the work that we did with Micah, and Micah actually like kind of almost took on like a bigger fan base after the band had like really been active, like through Spotify and all this stuff. So
yeah.
yeah, it was for me. It was just putting pressure on like if I come back, like I have to make sure you know it lives up to that. And in my opinion, I think like I'm making some of the like I'm very proud of the music that we've made like with Foxera. So I think that was the scariest thing was just like, oh my God, are people gonna feel the same way about this that I do? Like, yeah, it's just scary.
Oh, I don't blame you. Dude, I mean, the
Yeah,
music is really fucking good. I mean, I can't put a genre to it. Like, I said pop punk in like some of my content, but I'm like, it's
yeah,
like post hardcore. But I also wanted to put you on a playlist where like people would just like hear it that has like the most follows. So I just put in pop punk and said, fuck it. Obviously, it's not really pop punk. It's like a four. I mean, the Away From Me is like I think almost 5 minutes long. So it's like
yeah,
plus it's featuring
yeah,
Kellen Quinn, so post hardcore in a sense, such blah blah blah. But yeah, dude, like I mean, this is just the beginning. I can only imagine like what you guys are even cooking up, whether it's music or looking to get into any kind of label situation or whatever. So like how has that been since the release of these few singles? Like what have you and the dudes been discussing behind the scenes? Like nothing specific, but like
yeah.
do you have any thoughts on like getting yourselves out there like ASAP kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean the priority now is just writing. We have been like shooting ideas back and forth, and then once we booked Unsilent Night and like all we were like, okay, the focus is like getting ready for these shows. Like we like put everything else on hold just to like make sure that we were completely on it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so we've been sending ideas back and forth. We're trying to get into the studio as soon as humanly possible. Um, and I think that the route that we kind of want to take is we either want to put out like maybe a couple more singles or like maybe go the EP route. We're not really like trying to jump too early into a full length. Like we want to like build the fan base a little bit more before we like even think about doing that. And as far as labels go, like we're definitely not rushing into it. Like if the right thing comes along, cool. If not, then we're just gonna stay independent and like just keep doing what we're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, seriously, whatever is in your best interest.
Yeah.
We've talked about it a lot on this podcast, and then I'll get into something like that a little bit later on. I just had to remind myself because Micah was on Artery, right?
Mm-hmm.
I believe. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So my memory's still good. um, Elder Emo's getting to me, dude. But so are you going to the same producer who have currently done these three singles that you've been on?
We did the Away From Me and Way Out with like we did the vocals with Courtney Ballard.
Oh,
Um,
nice. I feel like a lot of my friends are going there. It's just so tight. Like,
dude, he is the man. I love Courtney so much.
he knows what
We
he's
we did.
fucking doing, dude. That's
Oh,
why.
he's so good.
So
Yeah,
good.
so good. Shout out to Courtney. The instrumentals were done by Taylor Larson. And then Picture Perfect was done by this dude Pete Adams, who used to work for Taylor a while back. The guys like have a history with him. I actually never worked with Taylor. Like the songs existed like well before I was in the band. So
Hmm.
I only worked with Pete and Courtney. We've actually been tossing ideas back and forth with Pete, and we've been like in talks of going back and doing a couple songs with Courtney. But yeah, I mean, as of right now, it's kind of just like we're just writing and trying to figure out like what to do next. And I think the possibilities are kind of open. But yeah, I mean, I would love to get back in the studio with Courtney and like do a couple more songs or just vibe out. Like, yeah, he's like one of my favorite people. So
Yeah, and instrumentally, dude, like Taylor Larson I'm a huge fan of Taylor Larson instrumentally. A lot of
yes,
the albums that came through, like anything with Periphery, Life on Repeat's old stuff, like even from first to last, like dude, like his production quality is just through the fucking roof. Like it's very juicy when you
yeah.
like hear those mixes come back, which also makes sense for the music and such. Have you ever worked with Courtney before? Like, how come you flew out to Cali to work with him? Like, what came to that thought?
Well, I had met Courtney a couple years prior. So I used to play bass. I did a couple tours with water parks.
Oh, no
Um,
shit.
yeah, and he used to work with them, and so I met him through that, and we kind of like kept in contact. And right before we were going to do the songs, I was just like, man, like we could probably get in with Courtney. Like, I'd love to like see if he could like record these vocals for us, you know, and like, yeah, he was super down. So we flew up there and tracked the songs, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. We did both songs. We literally only had 2 days in the studio with him, so it was like one song on day one and the other the next. So it was high pressure for sure.
Oh no, I'm so sorry.
No, I mean, yeah, it worked out. Like they came out great. But it was awesome, and yeah, I had a great time working with Courtney. We drank way too much Topo Chico. It was awesome.
Nice.
Um,
Take it loose,
and
dude.
dude, I love Topo Chico so much, man. It's so good.
Never had it, so I can't say it.
Oh, it's so
Yeah,
good,
but I will
dude.
definitely give it a
Our
shot for
band,
sure.
our band is so addicted to Topo Chico, dude. Like, oh, any chance we can find it, we're like, let's get like a ton of it. It's so funny.
So what kind of alcohol beverage is that?
It's non-alcoholic.
Oh,
It's
it's
actually
non-alcoholic. Okay.
yeah, it's just like a mineral water. It's like a carbonated type thing. They have a hard seltzer though.
That's
I've never
probably
tried.
why I think it's alcohol. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, they have a hard seltzer, but yeah, it's just like carbonated water. But there's something about it, like it's not like drinking like LaCroix or however you pronounce it. Like
Yeah,
there's like a
LaCroix or
specialness
Liquid
to
Death
it.
or something or like
Yeah, it's got
yeah.
like this. It's hard to explain. It's got this taste to it that's like it's so good.
I'll have to
Like
try it for sure because I'm a
you gotta
Pellegrino
try it.
freak. I'm a Pellegrino freak. I can drink that shit like all day, every
I
day.
think you would like Topo Chico a lot then,
Oh, I totally fucking
for
believe you. I
sure.
wouldn't doubt that.
Yeah, it's fire.
Wait, what were you doing with Water Parks on tour? You just hanging out?
I was playing bass for them I did
Fuck
bass.
yeah, that's awesome. No shit.
Yeah, I
I
did
had no
bass for their
clue.
first tour ever, and then I did another run with Good Charlotte. So they're actually from Houston. Like Austin, like literally lived like 10, 15 minutes down the road from like my parents' house. So I've known him since like 2011.
Oh, that's awesome. What does he think of Foxera?
I don't know if he's heard it.
Oh, we got to get him to hear it.
Yeah, I don't know if he's heard it.
I'll
But
tag him on
if
TikTok.
he
And
has,
be like,
I
yo,
hope,
have
I
you
hope he
listened to
likes
this
it.
yet? Yeah, I'm sure he
Yeah.
does, dude.
I'd
Yeah.
be like, yo, we just talked about it on the podcast, so you got to listen to it now.
Yeah, dude, no pressure. Come on,
Yeah.
dude. Support your friends. No, dude, but like that's a really healthy collaboration too, because like I mean, I'm just personally a huge fan of Taylor. I've heard nothing but good things with Courtney. With Seafloor, Phantoms, Grayscale, like the whole nine, dude. Like he's
God,
really kicking ass with all of these albums that have dropped, and
that
especially with
Grayscale album
Grayscale
is so
because,
good.
like, dude, like never
so
thought it was gonna be like a 1975 alternative vibe kind of shit, but dude, that
Yeah,
knocked it out of the park,
he was
100%.
so hyped on that record, dude. He was so hyped on that, and it's just like there's no skips. It's just so good.
What have you been listening to lately that gets you kind of like inspired?
I listened to a lot of like pop R&B stuff. I have been obsessed with Kehlani for a little bit. I'm always like a Bieber fan. Like I always like loved what he does. And I would say a couple months ago, I was really into like Zara Larsson and like that kind of dance pop type stuff. Yeah, that's really like what inspires me a lot. Otherwise, like I listen to like EDM stuff too, like just like kind of chill beats and stuff like that. And
Dude, getting your vocals on EDM music in
it'd be
general would be
yeah,
sick.
I would love to, man. I would
Oh,
really love to do it. I have one feature on an EDM track, and I am very happy with how that went. So
oh.
it'd be cool to like do more.
No, please do more because I just did like I reacted to a Paramore remix. Oh my god, dude! Like I
I think I saw that.
love that shit, dude.
Yeah.
It's so good. Like
Yeah.
this chick Tsunami like played it at like this warehouse gig, and there's a group called Birthday Party. They remixed it, but dude, my lord, like it's just
I know those guys. That's so funny
they're
you said that.
so sick. Yeah, they're
Yeah, I know
so
Birthday
nice
Party.
too.
That's
See,
cool.
I fucked up because I tagged Tsunami and I was like, this remix fucks, and then the guys were like, it's actually ours. I'm like, god damn it.
I
I'll
think
try
what
to fix
happened,
it.
I think it actually blew up like outside of like I don't know if someone played it or what. But they didn't post it on TikTok. Someone else did, and it blew up. And so they were like, "Ah, oh, damn," you know.
Yeah, she posted it,
That's
and
probably
then
what it was.
I was on Twitch because I'm trying to be very versatile with all the content. So I reacted to it. I posted it, and then I found her and I tagged her. And I was like, "Oh, that's why this is doing so well because her video blew up." And then I started going through the comments. I was like, "This is not her remix." Whoops. So I fixed
That's
it.
so funny.
Like,
Yeah.
but they are getting the credit they deserve. It's so fucking good,
It's
dude.
fire.
That's what I'm saying. Like getting your vocals on something like that. If it drops, if the breakdown's like pretty much pitch perfect, like
Yeah.
forget about it, dude. Forget about
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I would love to. It would be really cool to hop into that world, especially on like the right song, you know.
How did you train your voice to get to that high tenor? Like, what was the process throughout the years of getting it to that pitch?
Oh my God. Well, I probably taught myself in a very wrong way. I don't really know. I was like 17 years old, and I was like finding machines and Cirque Survive and all that stuff for the first time. And so I was like a huge Machines fan. And I would just like try to hit those becoming closer to closure notes, like, and like I don't know how I did it. It just like one day it just like kind of started, like I was just able to do it, and then I just kept doing it, and it kept getting better and better. And yeah, it's funny because like, you know, you have your like, there's I could talk. I'm such a vocal nerd, man. It's crazy.
I love it, dude.
I'm such a vocal nerd.
Just spew it.
I just found. I guess I just found the placement, and I figured out like if I like place it here and like kind of push into that feeling, it doesn't hurt, but it kind of breaks up too. It's like it gets kind of like I can get really distorted with it and like also hit those notes. But it's funny because yeah, you have like your low range and then you have that super high range, but then everything in the middle, that's what you have to really navigate. That's like the hardest thing to figure out, because that's where your voice will break and stuff like that. So yeah, it was just a lot. Like really, it was just like I guess I learned through like imitation, like, and just like figuring out how to like sound like somebody else. And then yeah, I was listening to a ton of Sleeping with Sirens then too, and that first album like changed my life as far as like vocals go. Like, you know, it was just so good. Like I could go back to that and listen to it now and just be like, this is amazing. It still holds up.
Oh yeah, dude, that post-hardcore style like really, you know, pushed the whole scene in itself. So like when you're writing lyrics, like do you have to like get away from certain vowels if you want to hit that higher note throughout? Like let's just say a chorus. Like do you try to stay away? Okay. Now how do you go about that?
I don't really think about it too much. Like when I'm in the process of like, I'll just sing it, and if it feels good, like I'll roll with it. But if it feels, a lot of times for me, it's like, how does the word itself sound? You know, if it sounds cool, if it flows together and it makes sense within the song, I'll find a way to make it work, like at whatever pitch it is. Because you can always like kind of like modify, like when you're up there, you just have to modify whatever it is you're singing just to, you know, to not strain or like, I guess, push too hard.
Yeah, because you want to carry momentum too, like as you're going throughout the song. So it's like you don't want to like strain it.
Yeah, for sure. If something is giving you trouble, like just a slight adjustment, especially when you're that high up, if you're adjusting the vowel, you don't even really notice it because it's like there's not a lot of changes going on in the throat as far as like the shape when you're like up that high. So you can kind of get away with like just adjusting a vowel here and there and still making it sound like you're saying the word. You know what I mean?
Interesting. No, because I never thought of the process. I don't know how it works because I'm not a vocalist myself, but I did gang vocals recently just, you know, on our album. And I'm like, you know, 3 people want to have 300 people in a room, so you do it 10 times. And after like 7, I'm like, I don't know how you do this, Kevin. I don't know how you fucking do it. And like I'm trying to imitate him as well, because like he's a
Yeah.
higher tenor, so it's like, but it's gang vocals, so I can like fuck it up and he'll pitch correct it or whatever.
Right.
But dude, like I just have a more appreciation for it through a process in itself too. So that's
Yeah,
fascinating.
it's a lot of exploring. It's a lot of figuring out how things should feel. Uh, it's a lot of like knowing what you can and can't get away with. I mean, really, like singing is it comes down to like knowing your body and
Mm.
like just like you know, once you have that technique, it's like you can kind of almost do whatever you want. You know what I mean?
Yeah, seriously. Plus, also experience at the same time. I mean, considering you've been doing this since
Truthfully,
like fucking like 2011 when you were
yeah,
like
I
touring.
yeah I started touring with Micah in 2011.
Yeah.
I've been
Okay.
singing
Damn, my
since I was
memory's
like
good.
8. Yeah, dude, you had it.
Fuck.
So
Well,
it's
that they were
crazy.
one of my hyper bands. Like when I was in the like the scene phase, like post hardcore, metalcore. It was Micah, Woe Is Me, Sleeping, Memphis, Mayfire. Like you guys were all in this collective like group. Yeah, so the experience is there too. So like there's no worrisome with that. But let's go back to Unsilent Night. Like how was it though? Like in general, like how did it feel? Like how was the presence? How was the head count? Like was it just like a really good like first good festival to come back to and just like kick ass?
Yeah, the turnout of the festival was great. Our room was when we were playing was pretty cool. I was happy with it for sure, especially being a new band. Like I feel like there's a lot of people that don't know that I'm like doing new stuff yet. So like it's like things like TikTok and like all that are like really helping bring awareness to it. Um, but yeah, I think the show overall went really great. Like I'm definitely really proud, and I'm happy that we were able to be a part of such a sick lineup because it was a very diverse and like cool lineup. You know what I mean? Um, yeah, I mean it was a lot of fun. I, to be completely honest, was asleep for most of the day.
Good.
We
Yeah, like
drove. We were
resting.
Oh my god, we drove from Houston the night before. We played at like 1 a.m. the night before in Houston, and so like
Jesus.
we played, got in the van, left, drove straight to Dallas. We had a hotel room in Dallas, and we like called them. We're like our check-in time was at like 3 o'clock, 3 p.m. So we're like, hey, like if you guys can like please like let us into a room early, like
Seriously.
we were trying to get there and like maybe try to sleep. And they were like, yeah, we're pretty booked out. We'll see what we can do. So we were like, we got to Dallas at like 7:30, something like that a.m. And we literally just slept in the lobby for like maybe like a couple, like as long as we could. We had to go to load in at 11 a.m. So we were just like waiting for the people up front to like tell us like, hey, like we got you guys a room, like you guys can check in early. And yeah, we were like sleeping on the couches, and we like walked up to like go to load in. They're like, oh, your room's ready. Like right when we were leaving to go to load in.
God damn it,
So we were
dude.
like,
That's so
okay.
frustrating.
We were like, all right. So we were like, thank you guys. And actually, like, what was so like nice about the room that we were at was that we were like literally a mile and a half away from Unsilent Night.
Oh,
So
thank God, dude.
yeah, so we
Jesus.
loaded up and we came back, and I slept from like 1 p.m. till about 5, and then came back to the festival. And yeah, we were tired, man. We were pretty tired like the whole day, but the vibes were good. And Sleeping with Sirens, like, dude, that set was like phenomenal.
Oh, dude, I mean, it was like an anniversary of Cheers to This. I was like, fuck,
Yeah.
dude. Like,
Yes,
what?
it was phenomenal.
That's what I grew up with. I think that,
Yeah.
to me, was my favorite album out of their entire discography.
Yeah. It's a great one.
I get it, dude. But yeah, going downtown into something like that, fuck, that's just like the. I'm like so pissed for you guys. Like, of course, you're about to go low. It's like, all right, room's ready. It's like,
Okay.
get
Here
our
we go.
shit, get in here, and fucking then go to the fucking loading. You know what I mean? But no,
Yeah.
I'm glad that it was a really good diversified lineup. I remember seeing the flyer. I was like, dude, like this is the kind of festivals like we need around the East Coast,
Oh
but we
yeah.
don't really have them like that. Like we have a couple, but like not like this stuff. Not like So What Festival or anything. Like those are huge lineups
Yo,
too.
that lineup, that lineup is
Stupid,
so sick. It's so
stupid.
sick. And what I love about that is that they announced it by genre, but they didn't like they're like it's all gonna be mixed up like during the days. It's not like one day is this, one day is this, one day is this. It's like all gonna be like intertwined. And I think that's such a cool idea. Like it's just so sick because everyone's gonna be able to get exposed to like so many different kinds of like music and so many different artists. Like, yeah, I'm like so excited for them.
They're like piggybacking off of Warped Tour, but they're never gonna say that. You know what I mean? Like that's like pretty much what they're doing. Because like now that Warped Tour is like gone, which it could come back, but we'll see.
I
I
hope
have
it
a
does.
theory. So I have a theory, right? I'll get into it real quick. Um, I had one theory where I thought Ebony was going to partner up with Warped Tour. All right, so I
Yeah.
was wrong. My next theory now is that so long story short, Good Charlotte owns Alternative Press magazine.
Yeah.
So legally, the tour can be sold in 2023. So I feel like the Madden brothers will purchase it and revive it. That's all. That's my theory.
It's very possible.
Alternative Press, Warped Tour, like just kind of getting the whole scene in their corner, like it would just be so perfect. But yeah, dude, this is interesting as fuck. Like you have Goes Inside, Parkway Drive, Sleeping with Sirens, Suicide Silence, Veil of Maya, Traders, Unity TX. Those dudes fuck.
Oh yeah.
Upon a Burning By, I didn't think they were a band anymore. Gideon, and then the next day is like Black Bear, which is like the Gen Z pop punk or whatever. Like I hear a lot of jokes about Black Bear. Like Warped Tour, was Black Bear on Warped Tour? Like I just hear too many jokes about it. I'm like, no, he never was, dude. You're too young for Warped Tour, son. I had a serious question to ask you. I think it's also the like best scenario for Foxera too, because like there's still so many really fucking thriving post-hardcore bands out there, like Thousand Below and Savage Hands. Like, dude, there's like plenty of touring opportunities for the band to get back on the road and just like go.
Oh yeah.
So
I think so. And what's cool, like I feel like we could kind of fit with a lot of different like genres too. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, dude, I think you guys can really tour with anybody. 100%.
yeah, it's cool, man. Yeah, I think the possibilities are endless. I really like can't wait to see who's gonna like take us out. You know?
It won't be long, that's for sure. I can tell you
Yeah,
that much.
I really hope like yeah, 20. I hope early 2022 we're like doing it. You know?
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to tour again. Like I long for that.
Because you've had already like 2-3 prominent shows and such. So like I'm sure you have management, you have booking agents, like you guys are still
Mm-hmm.
slowly getting. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's good. How do you feel about this question? Because you were signed. I'm going to bring it back to Artery Recordings. Because you were signed at one point. I also, it's not a theory. It's just like, just I want an opinion from the professionals or anybody who has been signed to a label.
Yeah.
And what I want to talk about is how would you feel if bands, artists, musicians like just started to publicly announce their record contracts, kind of like sports athletes do? What would you think would be like a pro or a con? Do you think that would be a good idea? Do you think you would quite possibly put your contract out there? Because I know I wouldn't have a problem doing it.
Yeah, I don't think I would have a problem doing that at all if that was like how things were gonna happen. Like, I mean, I'm pretty open about like music and like my bands and like how I feel about certain things. Like, yeah, I don't care. I think that's cool. I mean, for the sake of transparency, I think that could be a cool thing.
Right, and
You
I
know?
think it's protecting the artist in itself, because like now you're seeing like between you and me like really going at Hopeless, and it's like I don't know what's going on because I don't know their contract. And then you got
Yeah,
Solid to Prevail like threatening to sue Samaritan, and I'm thinking like, should we just like put it into a public forum or a website and just be like, these are all the record contracts that we have, just to
yeah.
protect each other?
That's an interesting point, man. I really never thought about that. They do it in sports. Yeah, that's wild. And you do see like nightmare stories of like people suing or like things, going back and forth. Like that would be really interesting to know exactly like the inner workings of these deals or even like I guess the bigger points of them.
Mm-hmm.
Just something.
It would have to start from the top too, because like obviously like my contract, like it's not the most beneficial with like making any profit off of it, because like there's more risk to our label than there is
Yeah,
reward in a sense, because Jeremy's investing money if he wants to, and we're an underground band, we also have to put in the work and such. There's no
right.
numbers. So but it's I'm thinking like maybe one day we'll normalize it, and it's like perfect example like when Taylor Swift normalized like getting her music on Spotify, and like she wouldn't do it until they paid the artist a little bit more, which they did, but like it's still not enough. So
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I just like I see rookies get their contract, they explode their rookie season. They're like, all right, here's an extension, here's an early bonus, here's this, that. Like, I feel that would be very beneficial to the artists that we care about, for transparency, to protect the artist in itself, because you know, business is business. But I don't know. It's
Yeah,
just an idea that and a thought that I had, so I want to see where you would take it into consideration.
I think it's a cool idea. I
Yeah.
definitely would. I would not be opposed to that at all.
Yeah. Who was it? I think Dan from Home Team said that. He's like, I think there will be a few bands who would be embarrassed by their contracts. I'm like, yeah, but like, wouldn't everybody
It's
though? Like,
possible.
you know
Yeah,
what I
it's
mean?
possible.
Like, yeah, because you want to fucking get on the road, dude. You want to do this for a living, like,
Hey, maybe
and
that would like scare people out of signing bad deals.
that's what I mean, dude. Because they
You
are
know?
technically banks,
Yeah.
but there's other ways of going about it. There's,
Yeah.
yeah, everybody has a
Yeah.
different like route. Everybody has a different story.
There's pros and cons to like literally everything. You know?
Oh yeah, absolutely, for
Yeah.
sure. So what are the next steps for Foxera in general? You said you were writing music and such, and you're going to be possibly releasing some new singles and some EPs.
Yeah.
Do you have studio time booked yet? Like, what's the timeline looking for you, homies? Because the anticipation is gonna just get a little bit bigger and bigger as the
Yeah.
months go on. So
Yeah. We don't have anything booked yet. We have, we've been talking about like where we want to go and stuff like that. And yeah, again, I think the main thing always goes back to Courtney, just because I think he really understands the sound. Even Pete too, Pete Adams, like that's the guy that we did Picture Perfect with. I think those two guys like really, really understand what it is that we're going for, without us even having to talk about it, which is really cool. So we're just trying to figure out a way to make that happen. I mean, like before on Silent Night and all that, we were like, we've all been kind of like recovering from like financially from the first three singles because we put a lot of money into those, and so we were trying to find like, okay, so we need to save up X amount of money to go into the studio by this time. We were trying to get into the studio by like November, December, but then like the show came up and we were like, yeah, we need to focus on this, so that kind of pushed everything back. So nothing's really set in stone. It's really just like, yeah, writing songs and like finding what go together, like maybe for an EP or whatever. It would be cool to do some songs, like maybe even do co-writes, like we've talked about that possible route. Like we're looking into doing a couple of shorter songs mixed with some of the proggier stuff that we have. Like all our songs right now, the shortest song we have is Way Out. It's almost at 4 minutes, so we kind of want to experiment with like everything, while
yeah.
still keeping that core sound.
Oh
So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you don't want to drift
yeah,
too far from it because it's working. Like
yeah,
fundamentally.
I think like what we have out, and like I think everything has this distinct sound melodically that I don't ever want to tamper with. But I think with that you can go so many different ways. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah, it might take some time just because we're all kind of perfectionists and whatnot. But
I
we
know what that's
definitely
like.
more we want to get into the studio ASAP. Like that was the first thing we talked about, like before I separated from them, when they went back to Phoenix and I went back to Austin after the show, is once we settle in for the holidays, like we gotta like hop back in on this and like hit it hard, like, and just get these songs done.
Oh yeah, seriously. Yeah. I mean, because like you can experiment. There's a lot that this project can do in itself, because like you definitely like you're testing a little bit of certain things like here and there too, which is fucking awesome, because like you're
Hmm.
gonna know what works for you guys and what's
Yeah.
not gonna work. So fuck yeah, dude, absolutely. And real quick before we sign off, when I stop this recording, let's manifest it. Who would you want to be on the road first? Like, let's say like a month out. Like, who do you want to go out with?
Ooh, that'd be cool. I'd love to go out with Sleeping. That'd be amazing.
Fuck yeah.
I feel like we could do a tour with a band like Periphery, dude, and that would be
Oh,
sick. Like,
I think those dudes would love you, man. Especially their fans. They're diehards. Like, I'm a Perf fan because I'm a fucking nerd, dude. We're all fucking
I
prog
love
nerds.
Periphery, dude. I love Periphery. Dude, the band that got me into music, like heavy music, like stuff with screaming in it and stuff, was Between the Buried and Me.
No shit. Okay.
Yeah, man.
Wow,
A lot
that's
of
a
people are
classic.
surprised by that. I went from like I was listening to like Taking Back Sunday, Fall Out Boy, and then that kind of like that was like when MTV was playing music videos and Under Oath and like Hawthorne Heights and stuff would like pop up. But I went from Hawthorne Heights. I got like a Victory Records like mix CD like from something. I don't know what it was. And Alaska by BT Bam was like the music video was on the CD, and I was obsessed with it, dude. I was like, I would listen to that one song on repeat like 10 times a day for months. Like, yeah. So that band really got me into like heavier music.
So much angst, and they're still in the fuck. They're still around too. All those bands between you, between the
Dude,
Barry
yeah,
and me,
man.
Hawthorne Heights, like they're
Colors
all still
too.
around.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So we'll manifest it. We'll keep talking about it, and then you know, however well this TikTok video does, because this was already pre-recorded. Like I'll just like at them in the comments.
Like, hey, let's do it. Let's
Bring
make this
them on
happen
the
like
road,
right now.
dude. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that'd be so sick, dude.
I'm stoked for you, man. Like I said, like huge shock. Like I'm glad it's you, Michael from Micah, and not some other like vocalist that sounds exactly like you. Because I got worried. Because the music's
How
the
funny
music's
would that have been?
fucking great. Well, dude, like I was just like, that's the first thing I think of as concerns for vocals. I'm like, oh, they're just gonna. I feel like somebody would hate that. Like, you sound just like this person. It's like, you know, like, and it's like, you don't want that on as like your fucking future fucking, you know,
Right.
knowing like, oh, you sound like this band or this vocalist. But when I did like 2 seconds of research, it's like, oh fuck, he's back. Let's go. So I'm
Yeah,
stoked
man.
for you, dude. This is a sick
I
band.
I appreciate that.
So, Michael, thank you for coming by again, dude. Hopefully this TikTok crowd that came in through the video is enjoying you and the band in itself. And I am so stoked for what you guys are going to be doing for the future. So we'll just keep you and we'll keep a close eye on you and the rest of the band. So
Love it, man. Yeah, thanks for having me on, dude. Like, this is a lot of fun.